Okay, so our reproductive parts of the flower. So we're going to take a look at labeling our flower and reading a little bit about it. So the first part we're going to take a look at is the anther. All right, so let's find, I'm going to use blue here. So the anther is our first part. Okay, let's read about it. The anther is the tip of a flower's stamen, the male reproductive organs of the plant. It contains the pollen. So let's draw an arrow to that. So the anther is the tip of a flower, okay? The stamen. So it's the very top part. It is a male part of a flower. Okay, so let's go down to the bottom of our page here. All right, so bringing ourselves to the bottom of our page. All right, so let's underline the anther. Again, a male part of the flower. And that's that little piece right here. Okay, just that little section there. That's the anther. Okay, and as we read at the top, all right, it's the tip of the flower. It contains the pollen. So the pollen goes right into the anther. Okay, let's take ourselves back up to the filament. So the filament, we'll switch colors. So the filament here, as we're learning, we'll put a box around the word filament, is the top part of the flower that's going to hold the anther up. So it's the part of the stamen. It's another male reproductive part. Okay, so it's going to hold it up. Okay, so I'm going to draw an arrow. It holds up the anther. Let's scroll down to the bottom. I'm going to underline our filament. Okay, and here we have our filament at the bottom. So it's that stalk there. So it's holding it up. Okay? So there are two of our male reproductive parts. The anther and the filament are our male reproductive organs. Okay? So let's move ourselves to the ovary. Okay, so the ovary, let's pick a new color. Okay, let's try, we've used blue and orange. Let's go for the pink here. I'm going to save that. So here we have our ovary. So let's put a box around the word ovary. Ovary is the female reproductive organ in plants that produces the ovules. Okay, and we'll learn more about the ovules soon. Okay, and it is the base of the pistil. So let's put an arrow. It produces the ovules. Okay, so that's what it does. It is a female part. Right, so I'm going to underline female. Let's take ourselves down to the ovary. So we see ovary here, so I'm going to underline that. Here's our ovary in the middle. Right, so I'm going to try to color that in. Here's the ovary here. Okay, and that's that ovary, that section there. Okay, so it's inside, as it says, it's the base of the pistil. So it's at the very bottom part of it. Okay, so all of this here is considered the ovary. Okay. All right, so let's take ourselves up to one of the most popular parts that I'm sure that we mostly all know, right, is our petal. Okay, so let's put a box around the word petal. So this is one of the leafy structures, okay? The leafy structure. So that's that outside part. And we know what the petals are, right? They're often, as it says here, they're brightly colored, right? And they have many different shapes, okay? So here's our petal. All right, so I'm going to underline that. And as we know, here's our petal, right? It's pointing to it. Here it is, okay? And that's the most popular part, I'm sure, that we all know about the petal. Then we have our sepal. So sepal is kind of like that underlining section, right? So it's not as obvious to us. You kind of have to look under the flower. Okay, so let's put a box around the word sepal. So these are the small leaves that are really directly under the flower. They're the outermost part of the flower. Okay, so they're the outermost part. So if we scroll down, let's take a look. So here's our sepal, right? See this here? That's our sepal. Okay, so that's the outermost part. That's like underneath section. Notice it doesn't say anything about it being male or female. No part located there, right? The petal's not male or female. The sepal, it does not identify as male or female either. The stem, we all know what the stem is, right? That supports the plant, right? So that's that bottom part. We know what that is. I'm running out of colors. Darker blue, maybe. Okay, so let's put a box around the word stem. Okay, it's going to support the plant. See if my arrow, there we go. So it supports the plant there. So let's go down to the bottom. I'm going to underline stem, and here's our stem. Okay, there we go. Good. So now we have 2 more left, right? So let's scroll back up. Let's take a look. We have the stigma and the style. Let's find ourselves a new color here. All right, seems we found a purple. Okay, that works. Okay. So our stigmas, I'm going to put a box around that here. Stigma is the uppermost part of the pistil. It is a female part of the flower. The stigma receives the male pollen grain, so it's very important, right? It's going to receive the grains from it. Okay, so it's female. It receives the male parts. So let's take a look, right? Stigma's right up top. Okay, so it's going to be at this section here. So this is when perhaps the wind, the rain, the bee, all different sorts of things that can bring over the pollen, okay? And it's going to land right on the stigma, okay, which is that top part. Then it's going to travel down the style. Okay, so let's switch colors here for the style. All right, so maybe we'll do this brighter color here. There we go. So this is going to be our style, our last part. I'm going to put a box around that best I can. All right, so here's our style. This is that long tube-like structure. Okay, let's move up and read about it. The style, here's our box. This is the part of the pistil. It's a female reproductive organ, right? So the stigma is female. The style is female. The ovary is female. Right, so stigma, style, and ovary, these 3 parts are all female. Okay, this is the long tube, as we said, on top of the ovary. So it's on top of the ovary, but it's underneath of the stigma. So it's that long tube here. So these are all the parts of that flower. Okay, so the stigma, the style, and the ovary, those are female. And the anther and the filament are the male parts of the flower. Okay, the petals and the sepals do not have a male or female part. Neither does the stem, right? They don't have any male or female associated with it. So these are those parts of the flower that we're going to continue to learn about this week when it comes to reproduction.